Your life as every level of American president in war. Level 1. The believer. The folding chair scrapes against the floor, and the room smells like bad coffee and something that feels dangerously close to hope. You're 26. You're in the back of a campaign rally for a congressman most people have never heard of. You're not here because someone told you to be. You are here because you watched this man speak on a C-SPAN broadcast at 1 a.m. during your second year of law school, and something he said about the cost of inaction made you put your textbook down and not pick it up again for 40 minutes. You volunteer every weekend. You make calls from a folding table in a strip mall office where the heater runs at half capacity and nobody replaces the coffee filters. You knock on doors in neighborhoods that don't want to be knocked on. You get cursed at on a Tuesday in November and you go back the following Saturday without discussing it with anyone. You believe this matters. Not abstractly, concretely. You believe the right person in the right room at the right moment can move something that otherwise will not move. You believe this the way 26-year-olds believe things, with your whole body, without accounting for what sustained proximity to power does to that kind of certainty. Nobody knows your name yet. You watch the congressman work the room after the rally. The handshakes, the eye contact, the way he makes each person feel briefly like the most important person in the building. Something tightens in your chest. Not envy. Recognition. You think, that will be me. Not arrogance. Certainty. You don't know yet that the system will spend the next 2 decades slowly teaching you the difference doesn't matter. You're nobody. You own nothing except your conviction. It is the most valuable thing you will ever have. And you're about to spend the rest of your life trading it away, one reasonable compromise at a time. Level 2. The operator. You are 34. The title is Deputy Chief of Staff. The salary is modest. The access is everything. You know how the building actually works now. Not the version with the diagrams and the civics language. The version with no diagrams. Who calls her the night before the vote? Which subcommittee chairman holds which bill hostage and what it costs to move him? Which senator's yes means yes, and which senator's yes means call me again Thursday after I've spoken to 3 people whose names will never appear in this conversation. You're fast at this. Faster than you expected to be. You can read a room in 30 seconds. You know which conversations happen in offices and which ones only happen in stairwells. You know the difference between the two, and you have stopped finding that knowledge uncomfortable. Your senator gets a defense appropriations amendment passed. $80 million. Gulf surveillance infrastructure. You wrote every word of the language. You negotiated the compromise across 11 days of back and forth that aged you visibly. Your name is on nothing. That is exactly correct. A defense lobbyist takes you to dinner. Good restaurant. He orders without looking at the menu. He asks about your family with what sounds like genuine interest. He never asks for anything. Men at his level never ask directly. What he does is mention warmly over the second course that his clients think about the Gulf situation constantly. That stability, there is everything to them. That they are grateful for people who understand the complexity. You nod. You finish the meal. You tell yourself nothing was agreed to. But you spoke the language back to him fluently and without hesitation. And that is the agreement. That is always the agreement. Level 3. The senator. You win by 4 points. The election costs $11 million. You stand at the podium on election night and feel something move through you that is heavier than joy and more permanent. 9 days after you are sworn, a man in a gray suit with no visible identification badge walks you into a windowless room and begins your first classified briefing. Iran is the first word he says. Not good morning. Not congratulations. Iran. He spends 90 minutes on it alone. The enrichment acceleration. The IRGC proxy network operating across Iraq, Syria, and Yemen simultaneously. The financing structures. The ballistic missile development timeline that exists in classified assessments and bears no resemblance to what is being publicly reported. He shows you satellite imagery of 3 facilities. He shows you intelligence intercepts. He shows you a map of Strait of Hormuz choke points with shipping volume numbers that make the room feel smaller than it is. You ask how long this has been developing. He looks at you for a moment before answering. A long time, he says. You sit on the Armed Services Committee. You read reports that carry classification levels you didn't know existed before January. You attend briefings that appear on no public schedule. You vote yes on a $780 billion defense authorization, and when you say it is about deterrence, you believe it. The belief is just quieter than it used to be, more complicated. It shares space now with things you cannot say at a podium. Iran is in every classified room you walk into. It is never in the same sentence as resolution. Only management, only posture, only the question of how long the current architecture holds before something gives. You don't know yet that you will be in the room when it gives. Level 4, the candidate. The primary costs $40 million, and you feel every dollar of it in your body by the end. Iowa in February. South Carolina in March. 11 opponents under studio lights that make everyone look like they are either lying or drowning. You learn to look like neither. You learn the pause before the answer. The pause that reads as gravity on camera. You start doing it instinctively. You stop noticing you're doing it. That is its own kind of loss. Iran is the question at every debate, every town hall, every rope line, in every gymnasium, in every state that gets a vote before March. Your opponent wants immediate, overwhelming military response. You want strategic patience backed by ironclad deterrence. The distance between those two positions in practice is a few decisions made in a room neither of you is in yet. 3 weeks before the general election, a U.S. naval vessel is shadowed for 6 hours by Iranian fast boats in the Strait of Hormuz. No shots fired. The incident is classified within hours. You are briefed as the nominee. You sit with it overnight. The next morning, you give a speech about diplomatic resolve, and you choose every word with the precision of someone who knows exactly what is underneath them. You win the nomination. You win the general by 2.3%. 90,000 votes across 3 states. Your campaign manager hugs you on election night. His face over your shoulder is not celebrating. It is prepared. There is a difference, and you feel it immediately, and you file it. And you smile for the cameras, because that is what this moment requires. Level 5, the president. The Bible is cold. The hand on it is steady. Everything after that is different from everything before it. Your first full intelligence briefing as president-elect runs 4 hours and 16 minutes. Iran occupies the first 2. The enrichment program is further advanced than the classified assessments you read as a senator. Further than those. The gap between what senators see and what presidents see is its own education delivered in a windowless room over bad coffee on a Tuesday morning in November. 3 American contractors were killed in a strike on a base in eastern Syria 72 hours before the election. The information was held. You were not told. You sit with that for exactly as long as you can afford to, and then you move forward because moving forward is now the job. You impose new sanctions. You move 2 carrier strike groups into the Persian Gulf. Inside the building, everyone understands what this means. The public statement uses the word exercise. 22 days into your presidency. 2:17 a.m. A U.S. destroyer in the Gulf of Oman is struck by a ballistic missile. 11 sailors killed. 19 wounded. You are in the Situation Room in 38 minutes. The satellite imagery is already on screens. Casualty numbers updating in real time. The faces around the table are waiting for you to speak, and the weight of that waiting is physical. You are the most powerful person on earth. You have never felt this small. Level 6, the war president. 11:47 p.m. Wednesday, you authorize the strikes. Missile infrastructure. IRGC command facilities. 3 naval assets in the Gulf. The strike package has been wargamed for 13 days. The projected civilian impact is described as minimal. You ask what minimal means in numbers. For seconds of silence. Then a range. You will know that range every morning for the rest of your life. The strikes land. Iran responds in 68 hours. Cyber attacks on U.S. financial infrastructure. 4 days of serious disruption. A missile barrage on the Baghdad embassy compound. 3 dead. 17 wounded. 2 of the dead are foreign service officers on their first overseas posting. You read their files that night. You remember their names in the morning. You remember them still. Congress fractures. Allies call, some to support, most to beg, all to do both inside the same sentence. Your national security team disagrees in rooms that were designed for consensus. You sleep 3 hours. You eat at the Situation Room table. You have not sat at the residence dining table in 7 weeks. Every morning at 6 a.m., the casualty report is on your desk. Both sides. Every name. You read everyone. You tell yourself it matters that you read them, that it means something about the kind of person making these decisions. Some mornings you believe that. Level 7, the architect. You sign the covert operation order at 9:22 p.m. on a Monday. No airstrike. Something quieter. Something that will not exist in any public record for 30 years. The legal counsel has written a memo. You have read it 4 times. You sign it. The pen feels like nothing. That is the part that stays with you. How little the moment of crossing feels like crossing. You do not sleep that night. Not from guilt. From the recognition that guilt and right and wrong have become more complicated than the words can hold. The framework shifted. It shifted in increments so small you approved each one individually and watched them become something you could not have approved at the start. Back-channel talks run 4 months. Qatar as intermediary. 17 rounds. Your name nowhere near any of it publicly. When the ceasefire is announced, your Secretary of State stands at the podium in Geneva. You watch on a monitor in the residence. Sound off. Your name mentioned once in the 3rd paragraph of the statement. You have ended it, or paused it. The difference is everything and nobody in the building will say which one honestly. The cost on both sides is in the thousands. The economic damage is in the hundreds of billions. You read the final assessment report alone in the Oval at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. 63 pages. You read everyone. Level 8, the ghost. 5:51 a.m. Your last morning. You walk the West Wing before anyone arrives. Boxes in the hallways. Nameplates off the doors. The building is already past you. It was past you before you finish your term. That is not cruelty. That is the building being exactly what it is. You stand in the Oval alone for 6 minutes. You don't sit at the desk. You stand in the center, and you look at the room, and you think about the 11 sailors and the range of numbers, and the 2 Foreign Service officers whose files you read at midnight, and whose names you have never said publicly and will never say publicly and carry completely alone. You think about the pen that felt like nothing. You think about the 26-year-old in the back of a rally who believed that the right person in the right room could move something that otherwise would not move. He was right. Things moved. You move them. What he didn't know, what you couldn't have told him, is that you move with them. That the room changes what the person is capable of justifying. That it happens slowly enough that each step feels like the only reasonable step available. Your library will be built in your home state. School groups will walk through it. A 12-year-old will stand in front of your photograph in the Situation Room and try to imagine what it felt like. It felt like reading names every morning and not knowing if it changed anything and doing it anyway. It felt like a door that only opens from one side. The motorcade pulls away at 11:58. The city doesn't pause. The city never pauses. It is already moving toward whatever comes next. So are you. You just don't know yet what that is. The cycle. Somewhere tonight, a 26-year-old is in the back of a rally. He came because something someone said made him put his book down and stare at the ceiling. He is volunteering his weekends. He is making calls nobody returns. He is certain, not arrogant, certain that one day it will be him. He doesn't know about the range of numbers. He doesn't know about the pen that feels like nothing. He doesn't know about the names read every morning or the covert order signed on a Monday night or the silence that waits at the end of every level of this like a room nobody mentions until you are already inside it. He thinks he understands what he is walking into. He is walking into something that has been here longer than any of them. Something that does not change for the person. Something that changes the person for it. The building is already waiting. It is very patient. It always gets what it came for. Hear our story and so kindly subscribe for next one.